How's everybody doing? It's Paul from Magpie 24/7 back again after yet another, to be honest, bit of a frustrating day at the office as it finished Everton 0, Newcastle United 0, of course. We missed a penalty during yesterday's game. We'll get to that in a little bit of time. But goodness me, international break. It probably comes at a very good time for Newcastle United because, look, let's face it, if we had had a striker out there yesterday, a focal point, Callum Wilson, Alexander Isak, we win that game. There's just no doubt about it. Everton, I think, were over the moon for a point. They didn't really offer much. It was a typical sort of Sean Dyche type performance from Everton. That's probably the greatest compliment that I could give them. But when you're getting done by 2/3, possession wise, when you're getting done, no shots on target. Nick Pope, was he even, worked at all? Was there much point of him actually even being there? I don't know. I thought it was a very, very bad performance from Everton. It wasn't a champagne performance from us, but we lacked teeth. I still think we were a little bit toothless. Yes, we were the better team. We were trying to do more. There were positives to the performance. We were unlucky, like I touched upon before, missed penalty. The Bruno one as well, how that didn't go in. And on another day, you get the penalty or the Bruno shot goes in. You get a 1-0 and you take that away and you're very, very happy with it. And I think personally as well, if you're not a club with genuine Champions League aspirations going to Everton, who have been dog shit for a number of years, to not get 3 points against them, it's better than last season. It's not like all like doom and gloom, far from it. It's better than last season. And there's games where even before we haven't played great, but we've still got points out of them, which is a step up, because it's the sort of game last season we would have probably definitely put in, like last season we would have lost that. They did have the disallowed goal, but it was rightfully, it's not an earthquake, just going over the shocking roads in the UK, but yeah, it was rightfully ruled out, but they literally offered nothing more after that. And obviously they had their striker playing, they had their focal point, we didn't. We tried various things, swapping Gordon around with Barnes and others to try and find the combinations just to unlock the Everton defence, score the goal, and get the point. And I thought if we had got the one goal, had got our noses in front, there was just no doubt for me that the points would be ours. I didn't think Everton at all were very, very good. And for all their gloating, for all their social media people trying to hype up what happened around the penalty kick and stuff like that, my only reply to that would be, I wouldn't be getting too cocky. I'd wait till at least after the reverse fixture back at St James's Park at the end of May, because it could well be a relegation party for Everton come that time. Yes, potentially new owners on the horizon. There have been there once, twice, or maybe 10 times before with new ownership on the horizon, so I wouldn't count that until it was done. And even then, they're in a tight financial situation because the PSR is what dictates what you can do, and not having a new ownership and not having an ambitious owner. Because if it was down to deep pockets, if it was down to ambition, then at the end of the day, Newcastle United would be at the top of the pile, because we've got access to deep pockets. But unfortunately, because of the pencil pushing rules of the Premier League, because of how they dictate everything, because of the the rules set up by the Greedy Six, by the Premier League, to stop ambition, to stop people challenging, that's as it is. I don't understand why a lot of Evertonians are giving it the sort of Billy Big Bollocks type thing, because they are still literally balls deep into a relegation dogfight that they may well not get out of, based upon what we've seen with the players that who were available for that game. I seriously doubt whether they've got enough about them to stay up this time around. And it could be that they, alongside maybe Southampton and maybe, I don't know, Palace, go down, and that would be the sort of perfect relegation party at the end of the season for me. The clubs that are sort of pissed Newcastle United supporters off probably the most over this season and, you know, previous campaigns, everything taken into consideration, probably with those three that you would want to go down, wouldn't it, to be honest, from a Newcastle United sort of perspective. But yeah, yesterday I felt 2 points most definitely dropped. The game was there for us to win. I didn't understand the situation and not bringing Asula on, but yeah, it was there. It was obvious as anything that we were screaming out for a striker, for a focal point of that attack. And I think, like I say, if Isak plays, he would have tore that absolute defence, ramshackle defence, cobbled up defence. He'd have absolutely destroyed it. I think Callum Wilson would have too. And in there they've got a couple of goals possibly each, and then it's a totally and utterly different outlook on it, because there were decent parts in it for Newcastle United, no doubt about it. But again, injuries, players availability, you know, not strengthening enough during the, you know, the summer transfer window because of the stupid fucking PSR rules, because of Crystal Palace and their shenanigans and so on and so forth. You know, it wasn't the best of times for Newcastle United, and it cost us. It cost us yesterday. It's cost us 2 points, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm just a little disappointed, because with those extra 2 points, it pushes you a little bit further up the table. It keeps everything nice and tight and keeps us on track. That just sort of drops us down, and I just honestly think that, I touched upon it before, if you're serious about Champions League, then at the end of the day you are winning in these sort of circumstances. And look, plenty of time to be able to turn it around. I think they're pulling because an ambulance coming up. There's plenty of time to be able to, you know, to pull everything around, to change things, and get the season back on track. I'm sure, again, I've said this to Carl and others, I think we will have a stronger second half of the campaign than we do for the first half. But you know, it's not a bad record we've got this season. You know, the defeats, we've only got the one defeat, but you know, when you've got the likes of Wimbledon at home and Everton away, and we're not scoring goals, we're not sort of filling our boots type thing, that is a little bit alarming. But I definitely think Wilson and Isak being back, and we've been told that they will be back for the next home game, for the first game after the international break up against Brighton. Difficult game, one I expect us to still win at Fortress St James's Park. You know, if we get those two back, as promised, Lewis Miley isn't a million miles away. The defence has done, I think, really good. You know, I think that was quite concerning. By lots of people were concerned about the defence, the state of the defence. Would we be able to keep clean sheets, so on and so forth. That hasn't been the problem. It has been goals, creativity the other way. I think it's obvious as the day is long that we needed a right attacking player over the summer. We also needed an extra striker to be brought in as well. I think that's stating the bleeding obvious as well. But you know, both weren't, and I think those are more screaming out obvious issues for Newcastle United than any, you know, we did make a centre-back signing. You know, we are managing to find a way. We have got players who can cover and do a job, and we look pretty tight and a lot more like the old Newcastle United in that way. We just need to add the goals in as well, and if we can do that, and if we can keep players fit, going to still be an absolutely you know, fantastic season. I think, I just honestly gut feeling at this point, at this stage in the game, after dropping 2 points, let's face facts, we dropped the 2 points. It wasn't anything Everton particularly did. We dropped the 2 points. I honestly think that we are fighting it out for that 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th sort of area of the table, you know, just to get into some form of European competition. That's where I feel that we're at the moment, given the resources that he's got at his disposal, given the summer that we had, given all the changes at the club. That's probably best case scenario. You know, clubs who are fighting out for those elusive, precious, rare Champions League places, you know, don't go through everything that we've gone through, unfortunately. So we need to settle the situation down, recruit well, continue to reshape the squad and balance it out. You know, yesterday 2 keepers on the bench. I hate seeing it. I really, really do. I'd rather give a youngster the experience of coming out, you know, and being with the first team squad, rather than play 2 keepers. Well, put 2 keepers on the bench, but when you've got 5 keepers in a squad of 25, this is why it's unwholly wrong. You know, it's not right. It's not correct to have 5 keepers out of 25 when you've only got 2 strikers out of, you know, 25. It doesn't make any sense to me. And it's something that the club's got to get a handle on, but it is difficult. I appreciate how difficult it is given the stupid rules, that, you know, the hoops that we've got to jump through to be able to satisfy the Premier League and just satisfy these absolutely fucking ridiculous rules. But Everton are going to find that out when they get the takeover finally through, and they think, you know, it's on to happier days and everything. That's still, no, it's still being held back because of all of these silly Premier League rules, you know. But yeah, we enter an international break now. It does probably come at a good time for Newcastle United. We can get these players back. I touched upon before, Miley back, Isak back, Wilson back, all really, really shortly. Sven Botman still continuing to post positive updates on his social media. I still can't imagine him being back before December, but it's great to see him look, you know, looking so primed and ready. It looks like he's built up and strengthened up whilst he's been unavailable after his horrendous injuries. But it's great to see him out on the pitches, practicing, and inch by inch, you know, putting posts on about, you know, getting close now to a return. He would be a massive welcome addition back into it. Lascelles can't be a million miles behind him also, but it's strikers, it's attacking players that they've got to be targeting, hasn't it, for January? Because games like today, where you just lose 2 points because you haven't got that extra body, that extra bit of quality that we've been screaming out for now for, you know, quite a few seasons. It costs you, and ultimately it's those little drop points here and there that'll end up costing us Champions League qualification. No doubt about it. We've got some great players, some world-class players, some good players, and then some players who need to move on, you know. Unbalanced squad, unfortunately, yes. But it is what it is. A point apiece. Gordon, I'll just touch upon quickly. I admire his cojones to be able to step up against, you know, the people who've given him absolutely dogs full of abuse. Even when he was playing for the club, he was still getting dogs full of abuse. So it took some balls to be able to step up and to attempt the penalty. I just thought yesterday, obviously, if Isak had been there, he would have took it. If Wilson had been there, he'd have took it. Fabian Schär, with how well he's been doing recently, I'd have probably given it to Fabian Schär, if I'm being honest, and just take Gordon out of the limelight. But look, it gives them something. It gives them something. You know, they probably have DVDs, printing out photos, posters, all the Evertonians over that penalty save by Pickford and stuff like that. A massive moment. That's like a cup final for them. They seem to be absolutely over the moon. So yeah, congratulations. Have your little, you know, few seconds of fun, if you will. And then we'll meet again in May, and we'll just see where the positions are in the league, how many points you managed to gather, and how things look then. But I'm sure that things will look a lot more rosier for Newcastle United than what they will do for Everton when the reverse fixture comes round. Talking about St James's Park, I'll have a quick mention about this one as well, because Luke Edwards has been on, or not Luke, is it? Luke Edwards has been on, my apologies. It's an easy slip of the tongue. On about stadiums, and the fact that, you know, whether we stay at our current address, our current postcode, if you will, if we stay there, or if we move to a new site within the city centre area, each way, regardless to what you know, the decision ultimately is, we'll be getting a new stadium, it looks like, because according to Luke and his sources, I don't know if that's tomato or brown or you know, brown sauce, tomato ketchup, it could be anything, I suppose, bit of mayonnaise, whatever the sauce is that you know, that he has got. He suggests that we'll be getting a new stadium, you know, either which way, to be honest. He says if we are to stay at our current postcode, and then we would look to move out, knock it down and completely rebuild. I think many fans thought that it would be another extension. You know, we hark back to the days from the last extension. 42 million quid that cost. Billions nowadays, billions. But the last extension, you know, a couple of decades ago, when we expanded the stadium with another add-on. It's always had an add-on here, an add-on there, a bit of a refurbishment done. That isn't the idea under the new ownership. It would be to pretty much demolish St James's Park as we know it, to move it slightly, and then to rebuild it, and then to sort of redesign the surrounding areas to improve the surrounding areas. So to me, it left me with a question when I was reading this. I was sort of thinking, well, if we stay at where we are and we're knocking out St James's Park, and we've got the intermediate period where we need to find a temporary home and so forward to get a new stadium, or we go to a new site and get a new stadium, there's no real difference. The only thing is, if we were to go to a new site and build a new stadium, we could build that totally independently, and then when it's ready, we move in, and then whatever happens to St James's Park happens to St James's Park, whether it gets reduced, whether it gets turned into something else, I don't know. But I don't know, because people were saying before, oh, stay at St James's Park, and I get that, because the heart says to me, stay at St James's Park at all costs, the memories and so on and so forward. But by the sounds of it, from what Luke Edwards is saying, we aren't going to have that. So either which way, it's a new stadium if we stay, and it's a new stadium if we go, and it'll be new memories created in either scenario that the club eventually decides to go with. You know, there's been some great videos I've been watching from Eddie at Tyneside Life. He makes some really good, important submissions and points about the history of the city, where you fit it in, how we have to tread carefully, how it's such a big decision. And I agree. You know, I think it's wise that the club has taken this extra time to just study some extra information, to ask some further questions, and to really sort of home down on what it will be to make this decision. It's a once in a generation, it's a one-time check, but the club have asked some more questions of the people who have been producing the report, and the final draft of the report is due early next year, and then they will share that with the fan advisory board. They will share that with the wider support. A decision will be made, and I think whatever they decide to go with, it's not going to get 100% universal approval, because like I say, I'm split. You know, the heart says stay, it's our spiritual home. You know, ideally I don't want them to fuck around with it too much. It needs just to be expanded. If I had my way, I'd just get rid of all the rest of the housing and stuff behind the stadium. I would, as much as I like obviously the history and the this, that and the other, I just don't think you can hold the club back and hold the club to ransom. And I think sometimes you know, you can't stand in the way of progress, and if a few houses have to be knocked around for the greater good, then that's probably what I would do, and I would expand it out and try and balance the stadium out, get the seats, get the corporate in that we need, get the multifunctionality into it. But then the head says that for an extra $1 billion, say on top, for $2 billion, you get a brand new stadium with all the bells and whistles, and it's going to be able to help us financially close the gap, and that is hugely important in modern football, and for us to be a successful football club, a successful city. And I also recognise all of that investment going into Newcastle as a city, the knock-on benefits into Gateshead and you know, wide area. But that's a lot of money coming into an area that could do with that investment, that does get overlooked, and you know, from government and etc. So for me, I'm really torn. Heart says one thing, head says the other. But this extra information, look, you can't say it's St James's Park because it will be going regardless. You know, they might be able to rebuild it in the existing footprint, move slightly, and call it St James's Park again. But if you're knocking it all down to rebuild it, it's not St James's Park. You know, it's the same postcode, but it's not St James's Park anymore. It is a new build. So I think if you are going down that new build route, You know, if it is going to be called, I don't know, the Salah Stadium or something like that, I don't know, something like that, like a corporate name going with the new stadium with a huge sponsorship deal tied up to it, so on and so forward, then is it just better to stay at St James's Park, play out games there until somewhere else is ready, and then just simply move into that and to make a new identity at the new location in the city centre? I think that's crucial for everything and everyone that I've spoken to. That has been the primary mention. We need to stay in the city centre location. Now, it's going to come with complications, because if we do move to a new site, you know, you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs. That's what I put up yesterday. So no matter where you go, you know, if we stay and we have to knock down houses or move houses or do whatever we need to do, that's a complication. That affects the history, the culture of Newcastle. If we go somewhere else, there's going to be some other buildings that have been there for ages that, again, are probably going to have to be knocked down. Again, that has the knock-on effect and the argument of, you know, the history and trying to preserve what we had and what we're proud of. There comes a time when, as I say, difficult questions, choices, compromises need to be drawn to, and I think it's just worthwhile just saying that there is going to be no 100% everybody happy type option that the club come out with. There's none that don't come with some sort of complications or slight pain in the process. So I think I am prepared for that. I think most fans are prepared for that. I think there's no right, there's no wrong decision. I understand it's a difficult thing to do, and I think whatever the club decides to do, you've got to back them. There's going to be areas that you're happy about, and there's going to be things that you're not happy about, and that's just how I feel. That's from what everybody that I've spoken to about it. That's generally how they feel too. In the most. It's difficult, you know. But I've even heard some people say, look, we should just stay at St James's Park and just modernise it up. But at the end of the day, football is a huge money type business, and the only way, if we are to be successful, to win cups and experience nights like the PSG night again and stuff like that, it is by closing the financial side of it up. There was a time before the Ashley days, the likes of Spurs were well behind us, but now there's just so much further ahead of us. We've got to be able to improve, and we've got to be able to catch up. And a lot of it does come down to the stadium. It does come down to getting more corporates in, more businesses involved, more sponsorships, more bums on seats, more tickets sold. It comes down to using the stadium when it's not getting used for football, for music concerts, I don't know, for American sports that might want to come over. I don't know, like even a big, you know, boxing matches, MMA, wrestling matches, you name it, all those sorts of things. It's about utilising the stadium and earning as much coin off it as is humanly possible. It's literally, it's like a cash register all the time, and it can't just be for, you know, the home games in the Premier League, cup games, and a few European games every year. It's got to keep constantly earning the club money, and that's the only way to satisfy all these PSR headroom things, financial fucking fair play and all that bollocks. To me, I'd get rid of the stupid rules, and then we could just, you know, it would take the pressure off straight away, because we would have another major source of income, because, you know, we've got the world's richest owners, but we're not the world's richest club. You know, they've got majorly deep pockets, but we can't access any of that because of the stupidity over the fucking rules that the likes of Manchester City, the likes of Chelsea never had to contend with, but yet we do. When we won our lottery, it comes with a bit of a caveat on it. They didn't have that, did they? Oh, happy days. But that's just the stadium thing. It's going to rumble on till early next year. A decision will be made, and I just think it's important to get back and behind the club when that decision is found, because it is not an easy thing to do. And who knows, you know, who will be there making some of the decisions. Obviously the Darren Eales stuff is really, really sad. It's heartbreaking. It puts most other things into context, to be honest. Will he still be involved when the decision making comes round? Who comes into his role? and you know what the future does lie. Lots of changes at the top of Newcastle United, and hopefully come January a few more changes to playing personnel as well, because like I touched upon before, if we'd have made that striker signing, that, you know, Miggy upgrade, if you will, I just think yesterday is a different kettle of fish. But it's now the international bore fest, so no doubt England will absolutely bore me to death. I watched, because obviously the Newcastle United involvement, who you know, will make the grade. I'll probably watch some of the under-21 stuff as well, but it's not the same as watching Newcastle United, is it? As much as they can frustrate you, I mean, you know, pull out hair, any that's bloody left. I just can't wait until we roll around again to the Brighton game, a massive game against a very, very, very good Brighton side, but again, one that you're confident that we can get about and hopefully score a few goals against, get the points and get the season back rolling again. Hey, we might have the luxury of actually having actual strikers playing in the team, not somebody doing a job, yeah, not any of that. Actual strikers playing in an actual Newcastle United side. That would be absolutely great, wouldn't it? It'd be bloody lovely, that. Yeah, but let me know what you thought about yesterday. Was it 2 points dropped? How much do you credit Everton? How much do you say that it was just sort of down to us? Let me know down below in the comments. Liking the video, always appreciated. Yeah, subscribe to Magpie 24/7 on the YouTube page and across the rest of our socials. Just gone over 161,000. It's absolutely amazing. It's mind-boggling every time I tot the numbers up, and it does make me smile at you know, the progress and the size and everything else. And your support is very, very, very much appreciated. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Got a few jobs to do in the voice, like I say. Last week or so, this man flu that's going around, it's absolutely fucking awful. It's terrible. But I thought I'd get the video up now, and then we'll be back. We'll be back just as soon as anything else, any big news, any breaking news, and if not, we'll be ready for the Brighton game coming up. Yeah, support Magpie 24/7, keep it tuned, and I will speak to you later.